like a dog chasing a tail. They're all got the 14th Amendment in their pocket. They're defending the problem, and they don't have have a clue with that citizenship amendment in their Constitution that at least takes their standing in law from that Constitution that they're trying to uphold and defend to a corporation owned by another. Now, why does the Constitution have to have two different citizenships with two different jurisdictions in it? And think of how much freer we were before this one. Think about it.
So what we're doing here, what I'm doing here, what we're doing here right now, what you having you on my show, trying to put this information out and let people understand how badly they've been deceived by these banksters or elitists or whatever. I mean, they may have been around for what, 5,000 years? Isn't the Bible all about
They've controlled both sides of every war since the French Revolution in 1789. So I know they was around then. I don't know how much before that they were, but I know they controlled all the opium trades in early China, the community of 300. I have the audios on Dirty Uncle Sam. You can click on the audios. And Myron Fagan 1 through 6. If you download them in a different order than 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, like 1, 4, 5 or something like that, you can get all 6 of those parts to fit on 2 CDs instead of 3, and you can listen to them in your car stereo when you go to work. It's very interesting. He traces the Committee of 300, the Club of Rome, him and Dr. John Coleman. Dr. Coleman is one of the foremost experts on that.
Sure.
And he's right above that. I have his audio there, and I also got a video of Dr. John Coleman, about 1 hour and 45 minutes long, under videos. And he points out and exposes all of this. They control all the slave trades. Remember the first president of the Continental
and the
Congress?
drugs. Now, Bruce, my book, Mystery Babylon, which I would love to have your help in letting people know about. I've got the whole history of the Rothschilds there, and a list of all the presidents they've assassinated, how they pulled this off. But I've also got the documentation on Operation Watchtower, and I almost got personally involved with that because I knew all the people. I know the person that flew on the plane with Barry Seal. I knew Barry Seal, and I exposed Operation Watchtower almost 25 years ago. That's the Mossad, CIA, cocaine smuggling route up through Panama and up to Bill Clinton's Arkansas.
Well, you can't expect no real law when we really ain't had no real law in over 100 years. We're the ones that are told what to do. They think they're pulling all the strings. You got to remember, the real government didn't survive the Civil War. So everything, all the dope smuggling in from the Vietnam era and the CIA and whatever the heck happened is a corporate replacement. That's why I tell people, if I get elected, I can't fix that. I mean, if we were to make Washington start acting more constitutional like the world government they're not, that'd be saying what they've done for the past 100-something years is okay. It's okay that you stole our Constitution and robbed our economy and robbed Fort Knox and everything else. Just from here on out, start acting like the correct government you're not. I'd be okay as a kidnapping a kid in the park. As long as you go on and continue to act like your real mom and dad, it's okay. $50 trillion the Federal Reserve made off the American people as of a couple of years ago. $50 trillion since they started printing that fake money. We want to talk about who are the victims. We're the victims. These countries that have bought these phony debt bonds, all based on 14th Amendment Section 4, they're the victims also. 14th Amendment Section 4 is what makes this specific citizenship not only responsible for the national debt, but the middle of Section 4 says they don't even have a right to question the validity of the debt. And ever since then, they've been selling these BS debt bonds all over the world. The bankers, no one ever looks at them. They issue these and print these bonds and sell them. Remember, they took over the U.S. Treasury in 1921. They were handed over to the Federal Reserve. I've seen them documents. I could dig them up again. I mean, if we want the Treasury to go back to printing our money, you got to take that away from them too.
Let me ask you. I've said that in the presidential races, no one knew about Charles Collins. Most everybody has heard of Ron Paul, but even the Tea Parties are trying to demonize Ron Paul. and you know, you've got patriots, so-called patriots out there that are pointing the finger at him. Oh, well, he's a Mason, you know, he's a Mason. So again, this is the divide and conquer. Tea parties against Ron Paul. Tea parties, me being barred from tea parties because I'm a racist. A week after I had a black guy own.
Well, I call it the skunk theory. When you go to chasing after a skunk, and I used to do it when I lived in Northern California, I'd shoot the heck out of them things when I was 22 when I was a kid. When you chase them, the more you chase them, the more they stink. The more stink they make. When you chase the truth, they make all kinds of stink. It's divide and conquer to the end. Every religion's got their own clique. The race has got their clique. They got different sides of each part of the clique.
I've had Christian.
All I know is we don't like being property. And that's one thing that we learned how we became owned. We wouldn't like it, no matter what clique you're in. I mean, no tough guy, no woman, no little child, no old lady. Nobody wants to be a piece of property that some fat, lazy banker thinks he owns.
They have really this, you know, I've had people say, Clay, why do you hate Jews? I said, I don't hate Jews. I almost admire them. If us white boys had this together as they do, we'd own the Federal Reserve, we'd own the Bank of England, we'd own the International Monetary Fund, and the world would be a better place because we actually care about people.
I'm from a family of Rosenberger. So my dad's mom and my mom's mom, Spears, was also Jewish.
Well, I
never got nothing out of any of that. I mean, you've got a few evil bankers that follow, was it a Jesuit branch of the Catholic Church or something like that, supposedly, from what I've read?
Yeah.
Or something to that effect. And yeah, they're some kind of New Zion Jews, they call themselves. But people shouldn't confuse them with the regular Jews, because we have nothing to do with those people.
They hide behind the Jewish people. They hide behind it. They hide behind this Talmud that they set up, which is a pretty evil document. The occultists simply tap into the whole Kabbalah thing, and you know, and again,
look at what they did to the racial brethren. They financed both sides of World War II and World War I. Look what they did to the racial brethren in them camps.
That's right.
I mean, the Jews that know what time it is and know who's really the bad guy in this world, we don't like them either. I have 3 relatives that I supposedly lost in that mess. I mean, and they call themselves Jews and they financed it.
And they are getting ready to.
Our black folks have a term for that. They call it Uncle Tom. That's what I call them, folks. Uncle Tom.
Well, we could call them Khazars. Now, you know, there's 2 branches of the whole Jewish faith. There's the adopted branch from Russia, which is basically you're talking about the Mongols taking over, or the Khazars taking over. Ashkenazis is what they call themselves. And you've got the Jews that grew up right there in Palestine, and they're called Sephardic Jews. And the Ashkenazi put them down. I mean, so there's division. I mean, I know I've had Gilad Otzman on my show. So from Israel, he's from Israel, saxophonist or you know, a musician there, and he tells the truth about it. He tells the truth about the Zionists. They hide behind the Jewish people, and they'll sacrifice the Jewish people in a heartbeat. They would blow up the whole city of New York just so they could brag about 6 million dying.
Well, they almost did at 9/11.
They tried. They certainly tried.
Yeah, they tried, yeah.
And again, you know, now what about this whole Muslim thing? I mean, for 150 years since the Civil War general, the Mason, now, you know, wrote the Morals and Dogma. He predicted the 3 world wars.
Yeah, that was in 1880, right? 3 major wars and several revolutions. Myron's making quotes in the audio. I already recommend it. Yeah, 3 major wars and several revolutions before they bring the world to one world government. The last one bringing the Muslims against and Russia and China against America, Canada, and Europe. Basically like the Christian empire against the Muslim empire and the communist empire or whatever. We're supposed to bring us to an equal equality. So when we fight each other, we'll beat each other down to almost nothing, so there's nothing left.
That's right, and then of course they finance the companies to come in and rebuild the areas that have been devastated.
Well, they finance the whole war. They'll finance both sides of the war. They'll finance the reconstruction afterwards. finance everything in between, but the ideology is the same thing they sold us. They tried to sell us after World War I with the League of Nations. The American people didn't buy it because at that time the media wasn't all bought up and owned. They forgot to do that. Second World War, they got us into the UN. That's basically the whole accomplishment of the entire war for them, was to get us under that UN.
That's right, and then they dissolved the Soviet Union so all the independent countries could go get a vote in the UN. And by the way, why are we sending foreign aid to 150 countries out of 192 around the world?
Why are we even involved in another country? You know, according to the Dick Act of 1903, type it in the internet. I forgot the House resolution it is. Well, we're not supposed to have our troops on any other soil. After 1903, that became illegal. And it says it's unrepealable. The Dick Act says it's unrepealable. So if it's unrepealable, why do we have troops in Afghanistan? Why do we have troops in Iraq and everywhere else, in Israel and Africa and Taiwan and Japan and all these other places, and we're paying to defend all these countries that don't get two craps about it?
Obviously, we've got to protect the heroin. I mean, those nasty old Taliban were destroying it.
Oh yeah, the birds might eat the poppies. Yeah, the military out there to guard the poppy plants.
That's right. And down in Colombia, you know, I mean, they're turning that coca into white gold. And we got to protect that. We went down and destroyed the Medellin cartel and set up the Cali cartel of the bankers. So the flow of cocaine into this country didn't lessen. You know, George Bush probably still shipping it in off of the Zapata oil platforms, or you know, flying it straight into Mena or Homestead or the little airport over here in Pinal County Air Park, where they spray all the where the chemtrails come from.
People ask me, well, would the government make more money if they legalize all that stuff and tax it? I said, well, the government itself would probably make a lot of revenue off the taxes, but then they'd have to account to the American people how they spent that money, which they couldn't steal of it or pawn off. So this way, by keeping it illegal, they can control it.
It's a hell of a...
If it was legal, then anyone could grow it. Anyone could import it. Anyone could sell it. I got a right to do the same thing you are. And somehow in court, equal protection clause or something, someone's going to win fighting that, and they're going to do it. But if you keep it illegal, you got the monopoly. Because you control the government, you control the ports, and you control everything.
That's right. You control the growing, you control the importation, you control the sale through the street by putting these poor kids to work and these Mexicans to work, and then you arrest them and you put them in prison, and you and I pay $50,000 a year to give them room and board.
All they did is take all the money that they used to make during the Prohibition and apply it to many new substances instead. Instead of just being alcohol and having all the speakeasies and the bathtub gin and everything else that all the organized crime made money with, and all the bankers. We had all the Canadian liquor companies that we brought into America paying 2-3 times the amount for that stuff because it was illegal. All they did is just change it to a different drug. Instead of alcohol, which is a drug, now it's cocaine and heroin and God knows what else people do. But all of them too.
Well, I wrote some books about this situation 40 years ago, back when it was a life sentence, potentially a life sentence to get caught with marijuana in Texas, and I got caught with marijuana in Texas. And I wrote a book about the United States in a future time, 40 or 50 years in the future, in which all laws had been against victimless crimes had been abolished. So if you wanted cocaine, go down to the drugstore. If you wanted marijuana, go down to the head shop. Go down to the bar, you know, buy it over the counter. Take it with you, to smoke it on the street. No victimless crime, no corpus delicti, no crime. And I wrote about this 40 years ago. In the future, today, 17 states, you can walk around and smoke a doob and not go to jail, not get into the system. But what a racket, man! They bring the drugs in, they sell it to you, they make a profit all the way down the line, and then they put you in jail and you do slave labor.
Oh, what's even worse is when they arrest you, who's the victim on the charging document? the municipal corporation of the state you live in my case it would be Florida, for yours it gets to be California, then who prosecutes you? The municipal corporation of the same state who's claiming to be the victim.
If we could grow the plant God gave us, hemp, in our backyard without fear of arrest, without fear of incarceration, we wouldn't have any drug dealers in this country. We wouldn't have any epidemics. More people die from prescription drugs than die from all the meth and cocaine and heroin that the government is bringing in.
Where a lot of gun violence and city violence are being too. People get high on their own supply, I guess, instead of stuff to go buy it.
You want to shoot heroin? Go over in that corner over there, so there's easy disposal of the body after you kill yourself. Stupid.
They used to have opium dens for that stuff.
Yeah. And
over there, and if you die and you OD, well, it's expected. I mean, it's your life, and you know. It's easier, better than having you wreck your car and bring someone innocent.
Better than paying $50,000 a year to feed and clothe them.
Yeah. You know, it gives off 3.5 times more oxygen, I guess it is, than any other plant I was reading.
It's a little bit more than that. It has, the roots reach so deep that it's actually it produces the fulvic acid that they have to extract from prehistoric plants right now. So it's got fulvic acid in it.
So the aliens giving us that, right?
What's that?
The pyramids show the aliens giving us that.
Do they? I hadn't seen that, but I'm sure. You know, I personally, Bruce, I in my books in Lucifer series that I'm working on, the aliens are simply us. We came here. We you know, the Atlanteans. We'd been here for 100,000 years, and 10,000 years ago we were flying around in our UFOs. You know, still doing it today, in my opinion. But
at some point we'd have to be an alien, because if you believe in the Bible, God says this place was without form. So we weren't here before that. He formed us here, made us here, but he had to bring some stuff from it. I imagine his breath or something comes from somewhere else. I mean, well, to some point, we're all aliens, I guess. It's a test. His whole life is a test, I think. It's a classroom.
Well, in my
the false answer on the test, and what you do. I mean, it's like a decision. You got the good guy and the bad guy, the true and the false answer, and that's life. That's the way I think of life. And when you die, you're gonna. I mean, for the next God knows how long. I don't know if we'll be reincarnated or not. We're going to sit back and whatever you spend on this life for the 50 years down here, for hundreds of years, I believe you'll be talking about it. That's why I ain't afraid of doing crap. I'm going to let them know. I mean, I gave it all I could.
Well, I appreciate the work that you're doing. We want to. I want to talk more, because I think we all need to run as independents. We can't owe our loyalties to now. David Koss on my side. He wants to run for president, and his background as a farmer makes him an ideal candidate. I think we need to restore the family farm. We need to band together in our communities. We're not talking about being radical here. We're not talking about being racist. You know, if you live in a black neighborhood, get together with your black neighbors and figure out how to defend your neighborhood, how to be productive, how to grow food in your backyard, how to tell the neighborhood association to kiss our ass and get out of our lives, and put that solar and that wind and that magnet up on your roof and that magnetic generator in your garage. We've got
and
all the
technology.
technology.
In your refrigerator.
And the what? What's that?
And that raw milk in your refrigerator.
That's right, right. And buy it from your neighbor, you know, and your sheriff will to protect you. The militias will take the well-regulated American militia. Link is on my site. It's how you hook up. It's how you go to your sheriff and say, we ain't radicals, we ain't racist, we defend the Constitution. We want to defend the Constitution. We want to do our part as specified by the Second Amendment.
You know, wouldn't that be great, sir, if everybody... I'm sorry.
Yes, go ahead.
Wouldn't that be great if everybody that wants to defend the Constitution realized the 14th Amendment was fraudulent and they eliminated it because of the prescribed oath?
I think so. And
I mean, really, it would be an act of treason not to. Our problem is we don't have a clue. Like I said, you go to this Tea Party, they mean well. You go ask somebody that just joined the military, and they got a copy of the Constitution or something they got from Metz or something. They got the 14th Amendment in there. They're willing to adopt that document. They don't have a clue that the 14th Amendment created a de facto jurisdiction. Our courts operate under that jurisdiction. In fact, they created a different court system in 1867 because of another loophole in the Constitution, Article 1, Section 8, Clause 4, which gives Congress the authority to enforce laws of the United States. So they created a new court system because of that authority that the Constitution gave them. We've been under that ever since.
If we can get the American people to realize that if Congress doesn't do something and act on that 14th Amendment, they are committing treason, aren't they? And it's time. Yes, it's time that our sheriffs. But Sheriff Joe Arpaio has done a great job on Obama's and his eligibility. Would you like to make a comment on that before I cut off all of my recording, Sheriff?
Well, I'd like to make a comment on something else. Congress got a copy of that CRS report. They know. The 1967 Georgia Memorial Congress declared the 14th Amendment unconstitutional and replaced our constitutional form of government. They know. The 1909 Congressional Record, page 4404, they know. The 1967 Memorialized Congressional Record, June 13, 1967, they know. We don't know. They know. And it's treason by definition of mistreason or misprison, as it's spelled. Mistreason of treason, as I already read, to know and be duty bound and do nothing.
Tell you what, if you will give me that in about a paragraph, I'll put that up on the top of the website above this show or below this show here, so people understand, and we'll send them back to your site. You've already done the research, and we need to encourage more people to run as independents. I want us all to be free Americans, folks. I don't want to be the only one. And if you
the only problem with running as independent is you have to be a 14th Amendment citizen to run, a 14th Amendment citizen to vote, and so in other words, you have to be a slave and either to participate. That's the problem. That's the only reason I'm running, is I'm trying to wake the people up to this fact.
So, how, again, once they're awake, what methods do we use? I mean, we've tried common law courts, we've tried all types of courts. The bankers work. I mean, the lawyers and the courts work for the bankers to keep you in line. That's all.
Remember what Mr. Jefferson said in the Declaration? We're governed by the consent of the governed.
Yes. That's
what you do. You don't participate. They got a 10-mile area given to them in 1871. We can either fight for it back or let them have it.
If we cut off all the funding and surrounded that Washington D.C., we could kind of make that their prison camp, couldn't we?
Well, we can just go back. We can just go back and go back to Philadelphia. We don't need a little 10-mile strip. We can go back to the states being sovereign. You know, I read Pretty Boy Floyd, where he would rob banks in the 1930s, and the sheriff would chase him into another state, and they would have to stop because of the state's jurisdiction, because every state was sovereign. Now you don't even have that. It's just for namesake. I mean, every state, you won't find one. I think Ohio was the last one in 1950. Every state is a corporation now. And every county is a corporation. Every sheriff's department is a corporation. Every court's incorporated. Every citizen is a corporation. And Washington, D.C., while we're under this jurisdiction, as I pointed out, declares themselves to be the owner and head and successor of all said corporations and property of said corporations. And that's why federal law to resist citizenship is destroying every element of what we think our government is. You're subject to, which means you're inferior, obedient to, governed, or affected by the jurisdiction, which is authority of this citizenship, of this corporation. Under their own law, United States Code 28 U.S.C., subsection 3002, part 15A, the United States being a federal corporation. In fact, you know, only corporations issue stocks and bonds. I had a few U.S. savings bonds myself.
Isn't that basically the definition of fascism? And I'm not sure which we are. I mean, what are we under? We're under fascism or communism?
The definition of slavery. The definition of slavery. That issuing bonds off the persons and citizens of the United States. All the bonds pertain to the 14th Amendment jurisdiction and citizen. The entire national debt, trillions of dollars, is all based upon that fraud of that citizenship. Every one of them, persons and citizens of the United States, all the bonds issued. That's what that debt applies to. Every bonds are issued on. The debt standing in law. And it's not a real standing in law, even if it was properly ratified, because the supremacy clause would strike it with null for creating a different form of government, citizenship, and jurisdiction than what the Constitution originally created.
All right, we're going to have more, Bruce, we're going to have more on this. I want to get you back at least once a week to talk about this, because I think you've touched on a very important issue, and we do need to start trying people. We need to put a little bit of pressure on our communities to stop these. And this is happening, folks. It's happening around. They're passing laws in states that say they ain't going to go along with the NDAA. And so we are having some effect. And shows like this are the way you have that effect. You tell people about the Free American Hour. You tell them about all of the different ways you can hear the show. You pass the show around. You pass this phone number around. Bruce, you need to tell about 5,000 people about the show. It's a great show. You did a great job. And I sure appreciate you being on with me.
Yes, it is. And if y'all can afford contributions, if you can't, ask for. If you can, between now and the 8th of next month, I wouldn't mind being on the ballot, because the redistricting in Florida, there'll be one Democrat, one Republican, and just me, if I can be on the ballot. Otherwise, I'll be a write-in. And I think everyone's mad at the Republican around here if you voted for that NDAA, Richard Nugent. So only leaves them a Democrat to vote for.
We had somebody that was in prison and ran against Obama and beat him or something in some kind of poll. But
that would be easy to do. I could probably get my pit bull to run against them, and she'd probably win.
All right. And just a quick one last comment here. What about Ron Paul? Is he a hope? Is he a false flag? Is he real? What do you think?
I really don't. I've been very curious about myself. I mean, the Bible says, you know a man by his works. He's never really been given the reins yet to see if he would go back to a constitutional jurisdiction, or is this just another way that the American people are following another false hope that they think is going to restore the government, and they're not going to. I don't know.
I don't know.
I'm getting let down, and I don't want to be wrong.
We won't know. But I can tell you this: if you vote for Romney, or you vote for Gingrich, or you vote for Obama, you know, or you voted for Bush, or you voted for Clinton, you know, you're already fucked. So, we'll make that the last word. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Call recording has been completed.
Okay, what do we got? Everything stopped, that's okay, this one needs to stop. Ooh, wait a minute, I got 2 minutes left.
You gotta wake up, wake, wake, work is all the thing you have to shake you. Come on, you gotta wake up, wake, wake, doesn't take another wake. If you sleep, it'll be a mistake. You gotta wake up, wake, wake, work is all the thing you have to shake you. Come on, you gotta wake up, wake, wake.